3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? This is the Undefeated by Choice podcast brought to you by SteelFist, and I am here we are finally back. I feel like it has been way too long since I've done an episode, but we are here with one of the fighters I consider a friend. I've hung out with him a few times outside of the fighting atmosphere, and I'm happy to welcome my guest today, Lehi Dominguez. How's it going, my man?
What's going on, Matt?
Not much. Just here trying to get everyone pumped to come out and watch your fight this next weekend, November 22nd, No Fear November. First of all, I want to thank you for doing the show, taking your time out. Looks like you're at work right now.
Yeah.
Is your boss going to get mad that you're doing a podcast?
Nobody's here.
Awesome.
I got the office to myself.
Perfect. Well, we got this card coming up, but this is a special card for you because this is your pro debut.
Yep.
How does that feel?
Feels great. Been grinding 10 years in the sport. I've actually been trying to go pro for like the last year and a half, and opponents pulled out or people didn't want to take the fight. So then I was stepping in on short notice to do amateur championship bouts. So it just kind of dragged on, and finally I just got to the point where I was like, I want that pro debut. So
yeah.
I was like, I'm not taking any more amateur bouts. I reached out to Kevin and Pat. I was like, hey, I don't care who it is. I was like, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
So feels great.
I remember you also tracked me down at Joe Rogan and was like, Matt, get me on a card, pro debut. I'm fighting at 155.
Yep.
And that's it. You're set. Is 155? Are you gonna stick? Ride that out as long as you can till you get a little older and weight cuts are a little harder. I mean, are you gonna start bouncing around again, or are you sticking at 155?
I'm sticking at 155. Majority of my fights amateur at 170. Like that's literally what I was walking around at. 170, 175. So now that I'm going pro, I know a lot of guys cut 15, 20 pounds, and so if I was going to try to fight welterweight pro, I was like, I'm going to be giving up a huge size advantage to everybody. So lightweight, 155, that's where I'm going to stay.
All right, yeah, because I walk around at about 205, and I know if I plan on getting back in, it's at 170. So that's the but I don't feel like I'm that much bigger than you. I feel like you're a solid 170. When I embrace you, I'm like, man, this guy is solid. So 155. I hope that's an easy cut for you. Is it been an easy cut so far? It hasn't really been bad. I mean, this is my third fight at 155. It's normally like the last 2 pounds where I'm like, this really sucks. Yeah.
I want to be done with it, but I've made weight on point 155 every time, so I feel good.
Yeah, I think that last 2 pounds, no matter what, even if you only have to lose 2 pounds, that is always the worst. I was just in Denver this last weekend with a teammate of mine, and he came in. We went into the sauna, and he was maybe 5 pounds over, but it was like the last 2 pounds was like, oh, come on. So it seems like that for everybody. That's always the worst because you're so close to the finish line. You're always like, wait, is it a catch weight fight or is it a title fight? Do I get that 1 pound allowance? Do I only need to do one? So, no, man, that's exciting. I'm glad it's going to be a good cut for you. You posted something on your Facebook the other day, and it was kind of your why I got into fighting, your story about why you got into fighting, and I actually thought that was a really powerful story, and I thought it was a real relatable story. I think a lot of people have been in similar situations. If you don't mind, would you mind sharing that story real quick with everybody and kind of explain what it was that got you into doing what you do?
Putting me on the spot here.
I'm sorry, man. You posted it, so I figured it's public knowledge at this point.
That's a very personal story that happened to me when I was like 16 years old. I was with a friend, and basically her boyfriend at the time was beating up on her, and just being a young guy, I was scared.
Yeah.
Like that's just point blank. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I froze, and I just remember it was the ugliest feeling I ever had, where I just felt completely defenseless. I was like, "Here's my friend. I want to help her," and I couldn't do anything about it. So, I mean, besides that, like I grew up watching boxing, Julio Cesar Chavez, Oscar de la Hoya. So it was always something that I'd been fascinated by. And it's just basically I joined the Army. I was in the Navy first. I did 5 years active duty Navy, switched branches to the Army. And I remember one of my first drills, they had combatives, which is basically like jiu-jitsu. So at that point, I just watched a lot of UFC videos, DVDs. It was back in the day when it would go straight to DVD. And I was just, like I said, I was fascinated by it. I was just like, that stuff's really cool.
Yeah.
Started doing combatives, and I was just choking dudes out just from watching UFC. And so one of my sergeants at the time, he was like, hey, I train at the Pit, which was at the time in Orem. He's like, you should come by for a class. I did one jiu-jitsu class, and like that was it. Like I was sold. And now it's fast forward 10 years. I feel like I'm confident. Like if anything ever goes down again like that, I can step in, try to de-escalate the situation, and or just try to diffuse it, choke somebody out, whatever. So
no, I read that and it resonated with me. I'd never actually been in a situation like that, but I've been in so many situations in my life where I felt helpless. Like I don't know if I know how to fight. Like I grew up being overweight, and so I kind of had a size advantage on a lot of people. But I was like, man, if things get rough, like I grew up being scared a lot. I grew up being scared a lot of times, and now because of martial arts, because of being involved with a fight game as long as I have, I have confidence. I have that, if I'm like, if something goes down, I'm going to be able to handle the situation no matter what. Even if it's not beaten, it's going to be able to be a physical presence, and so like when I read that story, I was like, man, that's real. I know. I guarantee there's so many people in this fight game that have had such similar experiences or felt that same way. And it's stories like that, powerful stories like that so many people think that we're just a bunch of brutes in there beating each other up, and they don't understand that sometimes it came out of necessity, sometimes it came out of fear, sometimes it came out of just a passion to be able to defend yourself and defend others. So my hat's off to you for sharing that story. I want to thank you for sharing that story, and it brought back a lot of memories for me. So I just wanted to reiterate it here on the podcast to let everybody know that if you ever have those types of feelings, this is one of those things you can get into to really change your life and to really change the life of others, realistically. So again, thank you for sharing that story. So you mentioned you went and started training at the Pit. Is that where you train? You're one of these fighters. I see you at lots of different camps, and I love it. I love that I see you at multiple places, because I've been promoting that for such a long time that we should be all cross-training. And so where are all the places you train? Where's your home gym? Give us all the details on that.
So basically, I started out at the Pit Elevated down in Orem. We were there for the longest time, and then the gym owner basically he passed away. So at that point, everybody kind of just split ways. Started going to different gyms. So then I started training at 4-7, which is now it's in Lehi, but at the time it was Spanish Fork. Trained there for the longest time, and then I also started training at Wasatch Combat Sports, which is where I'm still at. And then at the same time, I was also working with my boxing coach, Shane Stoneman. He's basically been in my corner since after my first fight. The way that I tell people is like, especially whenever I was at 4-7, there was a lot of welterweights, there was a lot of lightweights. We had a couple of light heavyweights and heavyweights, but I'm like, dude, you're not going to get better by training with a bunch of welterweights. I was like, we're getting better, but I was like, you need to get in with the big boys. So I was just like, it's not that you're not being loyal, it's just that you're getting out there, you're getting different looks. So now, Ramsey Nijum, he opened up the Pit. He opened it up in Salt Lake City, which has been amazing. So all those guys up there, a bunch of pros, they're all top level wrestlers, grapplers, jiu-jitsu. So I'm getting solid wrestling and grappling with those guys, sparring. And then down at Wasatch, it's also, now I'm there, I get the Muay Thai. We also have some strong wrestlers down there. Great jiu-jitsu program. So really been able to round out all my skills. It's been a great camp. I'm excited.
Yeah. And like I said, I swear every time I get on, my Instagram and I'm looking at camps, posting pictures, you're in like every camp, every picture. I'm like, where is this guy training? But I love it, man. I love that you do that, and you're right. It's not about being disloyal. You got to pay respects to the people who, the coaches who are putting in their time with you. And I've always said you need to have 3 days, 4 days at your main gym, but then you need to get other places, get other experience, and pick other people's brains and fill other bodies and just all that type of stuff. So I really like that you do that, and it looks like you've got a good relationship with all your camps and everybody in them. Who do you consider to be your main training partners, your main coaches at any of the gyms?
So for this camp specifically, I've been working with Keola Albino. He's down at Wasatch. So he's really helped me out with my Muay Thai game. He's been like the coach for me down there. Blake Suter, he's the co-owner of Wasatch with Tandy. So he's helped me out with my wrestling. Connie and Arthur Kleinfelder, they've helped me out with my jiu-jitsu down there. Up at the pit is basically Ramsey. He's the main head coach. So it's been a great camp. I've been able to, most people just think I'm a boxer. They're like, they see me and Shane all over the place, but this camp I really focused on the ground game. So it's, if my opponent just thinks I'm going to be striking this match, you better watch out for them doubles and singles.
Well, I was just going to bring that up next. That was going to be the next topic I brought up, because you look at your record, your amateur record, 8-4, and you've got the whole spectrum of wins. You've got decision wins, you've got knockouts, you've got submission wins. So I mean, your game seems to not be a one-dimensional game. And so I was going to ask, how do you split up your time with training? Different aspects, because your record definitely does not look like you're a one-dimensional fighter at all.
For me, it's just like I said, it's making sure that I'm well-rounded. I know, especially at the pro level, I don't really look at a specific fighter and be like, oh, he's great at this or he's great at that. I just know everybody at pro is a bunch of killers. So I need to be, in top shape anywhere the match goes. So whether it's jiu-jitsu, wrestling, no matter where the fight goes, I need to be ready. So that's why I train, and I don't really focus on my opponent. I just focus on my training, because I know that if I'm sharp in every area, it doesn't matter where he's going to take me, because I'm going to be good.
All right. Yeah, I love it. I love that. So, you mentioned you've been at this for 10 years. So was your first fight 10 years ago, or did you just start training 10 years ago?
I just started training 10 years ago.
Okay.
And you have to train an entire year before you carry our name, which I really respected, because I was like, a lot of people just go in and take fights. They actually made me train a full year, which was good, because otherwise I wouldn't have known anything. I didn't have any background in wrestling. I had no background in jiu-jitsu, nothing. I just walked in the doors and I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So, it was a year before my first fight.
Okay. Actually, that was my plan. That was my original plan, was to do a year, and then Pat Reeves was like, "Nah, man, you're gonna get in." So I got in a little quicker than that. But that was my. I do like that. And I think that's a good plan for most gyms, especially if you're gonna be carrying their name and their banner. It's there's no need to rush any of this. So do you remember your first fight? Do you remember how it went? Do you remember the feelings? Walk us through that, because a lot of people, with this card has got a lot of young fighters on it. Most of them got one fight, 2 fights. So they all have these feelings. A lot of these feelings are fresh to them. The very first fight. What was yours like? What were the feelings like? How did it go?
First fight was for SteelFist. Basically, I got the best advice I could give to anybody, and this was the advice that was given to me by Josh Bateman. he was like, no matter what you do, don't give up. He's like, don't quit. He's like, because if you give up, he's like, that's gonna stay with you forever. So I was actually the first fight of the night.
The best fight. That's the best one to do if you're the first. Yeah. That's the best one.
Yep. Just remember going out there. Basically, Shane warmed me up the same way he always does, slapping me from like legs to head and just smacking me like, all right, let's go. And I remember going in there and basically I just started brawling. I just started throwing fists. It was all tunnel vision. I was just like, damn. And then next thing I know, like we're reversing each other, and I'm getting like exhausted, and I'm like basically just I forget what they call it, but blew my wad, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just,
it's a family show, but you can say that. Just
he's holding me against the cage, and I'm just like, I was just like, really, I wanted to quit at that point. I was just like, this sucks. I was like, I'm done. And then basically I just hear Josh's voice, like, don't give up. So I was just like, all right, suck it up, reversed it. And then it was like the round was over. Between rounds, Arnold and Shane, they were just like, dude, you're doing great. Like, you know, they're like, you're out striking him. They're like, just keep going. So they're like, you know, just mix it up. And so my first year that I trained, it was basically just jiu-jitsu and wrestling. I really didn't do a lot of striking. So I was like, all right, well, that's what I trained. So I went in, basically shot from like one side of the cage. It was a horrible takedown. Pushed him all the way to the cage, and then luckily he was tired too, so I dumped him, got on top, and I just started raining punches. I was like, I'm gonna keep punching until the ref pulls me off, and I think like 40 punches later, like the ref finally pulled me off, and I'm like, thank God. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. That sounds about right for a first fight. How a lot of them end up going. And you talked about the tunnel vision. You know, that was your first fight. You're now 12 fights later. When does the tunnel vision go away? When does it slow down? And where are you at now with, you know, the where your mind goes during a fight?
Really, I think it went away after the first fight. Like the second fight, I can remember I could start hearing my coaches. Because in the first fight, they were like, dude, we were shouting at you, and you were reacting. You were doing what we were telling you to do. And I think there's been a couple of fights like that where same thing. They're like, yeah, like whatever we told you to do, you would do it. But I think it was literally like probably like 3 or 4 fights ago where I could actually where I was just calm. Like, yeah. I was like, you know, I still had the nerves before the fight, like still, you know, thinking about my opponent and what I was going to do and just really overthinking it. But once I would get in the cage, it was just like I'd be relaxed.
Yeah.
It was like a weird shift. Like you go from being completely anxious to you're in the cage and you're like, all right, go time.
Yeah.
And then it would just be like I'd hear my coaches yelling at me and I'm like, oh, okay. Now it's, I mean, amateur boxing and MMA, I have like 14 fights. So for me now, it's just like, it's just another day in the office.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited for this one. It's the first time where I actually allowed myself to enjoy the process versus being anxious the entire time. I'm like, dude, your pro debut.
Yeah.
You're the main event.
Yeah.
You know, freaking enjoy it. Like,
yeah.
Stop stressing. Like, just go train your ass off and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy the process.
It looks like you're enjoying your process. Am I correct in saying you got engaged in this fight camp? Congratulations to you, my friend.
Thank you.
Hey, that's a way to take your mind off of it, you know, completely and give yourself something else to think about rather than just all the time surrounding you. That's planning for a wedding is not something that you can take lightly. So you probably got to put more time into that than a fight camp. But you know, you mentioned being the first fight of the card. Now you're at the end of the card. You got November 22nd, Jordan Marriott standing in front of you. Am I correct? It's his pro debut as well?
No, he's 7-9.
Oh, I knew that. I knew that. I apologize, Jordan. I knew that. I've looked you up. I apologize. I don't know why I was thinking that. Anyways, you've got him standing in front of you, November 22nd. What do you see his strengths being? You've obviously watched him. You know what he's doing. You said you don't pay too much attention to your opponents, but you've been around the game long enough. I'm sure you've seen him. What does he bring to the cage?
I think overall he has the experience. Obviously, he's been in the fight game for a long time, so definitely not underestimating him anyway. 7-9 as a pro, I was like, that's a lot of fights. But for me, I just welcome the challenge.
Yeah.
I was like, pro debut, going in against someone 7-9 that's been in the pro game for a long time. I was like, let's go. Yeah. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Let's see what you got.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you've mentioned, I think the camps you're in, they're most of them are pros, and so it's something that you're very familiar with. I'm sure in your training, I'm sure you've been taking head kicks for a while now, so it's not going to be anything new to you. But obviously, you go in there with a game plan. You in there knowing that you have some advantages. In your mind, where do you stand above Jordan? I mean, where he's got the experience, where does Lehi get the advantage?
Just kind of like you said, I've been training with pros since day one. I mean, at the original Pit Elevated, we had Court Ramsey, Brock Jardine, Steven Seiler, Jason South, Josh Berkman. I mean, the list goes on. It was just a room full of lions, and I used to get my butt whooped every day. So for me, it's like where I feel I stand out is I got heart for days. There's not going to be any quit. There's not going to be any moment where I get hit or taken down and I'm like, oh, what do I do now? It's if I get hit, it's like, all right, now I start smelling blood. I'm like, let's go, like I'm in it. Let's get it.
Yeah.
So I know my boxing. Really, and there's no disrespect to anybody. I feel like my boxing is some of the best in the state. So even training with the guys that I do now, like that's basically everyone knows that's one of my strong suits.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've rounded out the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu, the Muay Thai. So for me, it's just wherever the fight goes, whatever he brings, like I'm gonna have an answer, and I'm gonna be in his face nonstop. So.
Do you have a vision in your head of how the fight's going to end, of how you're going to win it? I mean, I know you'll take a win any way you can get it, but have you been mentally preparing yourself and seeing any type of way that you win this fight?
Whether it's standing up or me taking him down, and I mean, one way or another, the ref's going to be pulling me off of him. So again, it's no disrespect. It's just I don't see anywhere this fight goes that I won't be ready for him. So.
All right, and to anybody who has never been to a Lehi Dominguez fight before, what do they have to look forward to?
I've never been in a boring fight. I mean, you could ask anybody that's been to one of my fights. There's never been one boring fight. So expect fireworks. Expect the best soldado that you've ever seen. Main event, I'm even more excited, so just expect a damn good fight. Like it's going to be quick.
Hell yeah, my man. Again, you said your first fight was with SteelFist. You've had many fights with SteelFist. How do you like the organization? How they treat you? What could we be doing better? Just give just let us know how you like fighting for SteelFist.
I love SteelFist. They gave me my first opportunity when nobody knew who I was. They've basically been with me almost. I think I've only fought for 2 or 3 other organizations. So it's like literally my entire fight career has been with them. So they've, even with the title opportunities, it was like nothing was given to me. Everything was earned, and they saw the strengths that I brought, gave me the opportunities, and I just capitalized. So, I mean, I owe everything to SteelFist. They've been amazing, and I'm looking forward to many more fights with them.
All right, man. Well, I know we love having you. Do you have anybody you want to thank? Any sponsors? I know you got your teams and stuff. Anybody in particular you want to thank? This is your time to go ahead and give shout-outs.
I love SteelFist. I think I've only fought for 2 or 3 other organizations. So it's like literally my entire fight career has been with them. So they've basically been with me almost. I think I've only fought for 2 or 3 other organizations. So I had to write this down so I didn't forget.
Okay,
so,
good. Yeah, I love a man who's prepared.
We have Rockwell Watches. They've been with me for forever. Johnny Ritchie. Guys are amazing. My newest sponsor, Damage Plan Athletics. Thank you, Jason. Water and Wellness. Those guys have been amazing. Elite Vape and Smoke. Brian De La Huerta. US Cryotherapy. Those guys, if it wasn't for them, I would be beat up.
Yeah, I haven't been sold on the cryotherapy yet.
Oh, it's money.
I just can't be cold. I've never done it. I'm sure it's amazing. I just hate being cold.
They've been awesome. So, Death or Glory Tattoo, my boy Ernest, Fanatical Military Recruiting, they're a new sponsor. Lucky Bail Bonds, they're a new sponsor. So thank you guys. Minor Details, that's where I stay fresh. You know?
I like it.
But yeah, and then my gyms, Wasatch and the Pit Elevated, my daughter Tati, my fiance Ashley, just my entire family, everyone that supports me. Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
All right, and Lehi, hey man, thank you for coming, taking the time out to do the show today. Congratulations again on your engagement. Man, I cannot wait for this fight, November 22nd. As I said in the beginning of the show, you're someone I consider a friend. I've hung out with you outside of the fighting realm, and I wish you all the luck in the world, my man. Thank you for doing the show. I'm going to let you go now. I'll finish up the show, but thank you, brother.
Yep. All right, bro.
All right, everybody, there you have it. Finishing up with Lehi Dominguez. He said it. He said it all. This gonna be fireworks. He's never been in a boring fight. I know Jordan is a man who's gonna bring it. Like he said, he's got tons of experience. You're not gonna see anybody backing down. You're gonna see two guys going in there to war. This is the main event. This is the reason this is the main event, because these two are exciting fighters. So get your tickets now at SteelFistFight.com. You can follow us here on Undefeated by Choice on YouTube, iTunes, iHeartRadio. Let me make sure I get all this right. I've got it written down finally, so I can get it all right. You can find us on Facebook at SteelFist Fight Night, on Instagram at SteelFist Fight. Make sure you either find Lehi, get your tickets from him, find Jordan, get your tickets from him, or anybody who's on the card, buy your tickets from them, because it helps the fighter directly if you buy the tickets from them. If you can't do that, if you don't have the time to do that or whatever, you can buy them at the door, you can buy them online. Just make sure you make it out November 22nd, Union Event Center. Doors open at 6, fights start at 7. Do not be late, do not miss it. We got an exciting card from start to finish. I'm so pumped about it, I'm so excited about it. Everybody, be good to yourself, be good to each other. I love you.